A field hand in ancient Egypt collapses under the noon sun. No one stops. No one pauses. The work goes on. That was the world before a single line of text carved into stone declared something no empire had ever said. Stop. Rest. Not just you. Your servant, too. Even your ox. That line changed everything. And most people have never thought twice about it. We live in a culture that wears tired like a trophy. The less you sleep, the harder you grind, the more you skip your days off, the more serious people think you are. But here's what's strange. The oldest moral code in the West doesn't reward that grind. It commands the opposite. It says rest is not a reward you earn. It's a law you obey. But to grasp why that matters, we need to go back, way back, before the law was carved in stone, before Moses stood on a mountain, before any human drew breath. The story opens in Genesis. God shapes the world in 6 days. Light, sea, land, creatures, people. Then comes the seventh day, and the text says something odd. God stopped. The Hebrew word is shavat. He ceased. He paused. And then he did something no other ancient text records any God doing. He blessed the day itself. He set it apart as holy. Not a place, not a person, a day. Think about that. The first thing declared sacred in the whole Bible is not a temple, not an altar, not a mountain. It's a stretch of time, a full day of nothing. And this happens before any human sin, before any need for healing or rescue. Rest is woven into the fabric of the world before anything goes wrong. It's not a fix, it's a feature. Now here's where most people make a mistake. They read that and think rest means the absence of work, like God ran out of things to do. But the text treats this pause as its own creative act. Blessing something takes intent. Setting something apart takes will. Rest in Genesis is not collapse. It's design, and this design becomes law. Centuries later at Sinai, the command lands in the top 10. You know them. Don't murder. Don't steal. Don't lie. And right there, number 4. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days you work. The 7th, you stop. What catches scholars off guard is the weight of this command. It's one of only 2 in the whole list that comes with a built-in reason. God doesn't just say, do it. He says, do it because I did it. Because I rested. Your pause mirrors mine. That framing lifts the command from rule to rhythm. It's not about following orders for their own sake. It's about a pattern that starts at the root of the world. But here's the detail that should stop you cold. And this is the part most sermons skip. The command doesn't just say, you rest. It says your male servant rests. Your female servant rests. Your livestock rests. The stranger living in your town rests. Read that list again. In a world built on the backs of slaves and animals, where labor was pulled from people without limit, this law draws a hard line. 1 day in 7, power yields. The owner cannot force the servant to work. The farmer cannot drive the ox. No other culture in the ancient Near East had anything close to this. Babylon had its own cycles. Egypt had its own weeks. But nowhere did a legal code promise rest to the people at the bottom. The Sabbath wasn't written for kings. It was written for the people kings forgot. It was, in a real sense, one of the first labor laws in human history. And it covered animals, too, centuries before any nation on earth passed a law against cruelty to beasts. So when someone says the Sabbath is just a nice tradition, a quaint religious habit, they're missing the revolt underneath it. This was protest carved in stone. It said your worth does not depend on what you produce. You are not a tool. You are not a machine. You are a person made in the image of a God who rests. Now, you might push back here. You might say, sure, that sounds noble, but stopping work costs money. It slows the economy. In a world that runs at all hours, who can afford to pause? That pushback isn't new. It's ancient. Every time Israel faced pressure from rival nations, the Sabbath was one of the first things to slide. Merchants wanted to trade. Farmers wanted to harvest. The pull of more was constant. But something odd happens in the long view. The cultures that enforced rest didn't collapse. They endured. And modern data tells a similar story. Workers who take a full day off each week burn out far less. The body recovers. The mind sharpens. The creative well refills. Refusing rest doesn't make you stronger. It makes you brittle, like an engine running without oil. The parts wear faster than they should. And the Bible knows this. Psalm 127 lays it bare. It says it's useless to rise early and stay up late, toiling for bread, because God gives rest to those He loves. The poet isn't saying work is bad. The poet is saying work without rest is a trap. It's worry dressed as drive. Jesus picks up the same thread. In Matthew 6, He points at the birds. They don't plant. They don't harvest. They don't store grain in barns. Yet they eat. He points at the wildflowers. They don't spin thread. They don't sew fabric. Yet they're dressed better than a king. His point isn't that work is pointless. It's that worry cannot add a single hour to your life, He says. The command to rest is really a command to trust, to believe that the world won't fall apart if you stop holding it together for one day. But here's where the Sabbath reveals its limits. And this matters. The command works because it's set inside a group. An Israelite could rest because the whole village rested. The market closed. The fields went quiet. Everyone paused at the same time. Remove that shared rhythm, and the person who stops gets left behind. A freelancer in a gig economy can't just declare Saturday sacred when clients expect replies by noon. A single parent working 2 jobs can't wave a verse and make the bills wait. This isn't a failure of the idea. It's a failure of the structure around it. The Sabbath was never meant to be a solo act. It was a social contract. When only some people rest and others keep grinding, the gap grows. The original law solved this by making rest universal. Everyone stopped. The servant, the boss, the animal, the stranger. Nobody gained an edge by working through. That leveling was the point. And it echoed forward through history in ways most people don't realize. European nations began passing Sunday rest laws in the 1800s. American blue laws, those old rules that kept shops closed on Sunday morning, trace straight back to this same root. The weekend itself, the 2-day break we take for granted, has a bloodline that leads to Sinai. It didn't come from unions alone. It came from a stone tablet that said, "Stop." There's a deeper layer still. The book of Hebrews, written to early believers under pressure, takes the Sabbath and stretches it across time. The author says there remains a Sabbath rest for the people of God. He uses a rare Greek word found nowhere else in the Bible. It doesn't just mean a day off. It means a lasting state of arrival, a final stop. The weekly pause, he argues, was always pointing somewhere. It was a rehearsal. Every 7th day, you practiced what the end of the story feels like. Peace without threat, presence without striving, home without exile. The wilderness crowd missed it. They grumbled. They refused to trust. They wandered for a whole generation, and the text says they never entered God's rest. Hebrews treats that as a warning. The rest is still open. The door hasn't closed, but walking through it requires something most of us resist. It requires letting go. Letting go of the belief that you are what you do. Letting go of the fear that if you pause, you'll be passed over, left behind, forgotten. The Sabbath, from Genesis to Hebrews, tells a different story. It says you were valuable before you did a single thing. The 7th day was blessed before anyone worked a field or built a wall. Think about what that means for how we treat each other. If rest is sacred, then the people who cannot rest are being denied something holy. The overnight shift worker with no day off, the child laborer in a factory overseas, the caretaker who hasn't had a full night's sleep in years. The Sabbath command doesn't just say rest is nice, it says rest is a right, and denying it is a kind of violence against the image of God in every person. That's why shrinking the Sabbath to a rule about which day to attend church misses the forest for the trees. The day matters less than the rhythm. The rhythm matters less than the truth underneath it. And the truth is this: you were not made to run without stopping. The God who made the stars took a day off, not because he was tired, because he was making a point. Rest is not the absence of purpose, it is the presence of trust. If this story stirred something in you, there's more where it came from. Hit subscribe so the next one finds you. And share this with someone who needs to hear that stopping is not the same as falling behind. A field hand in the ancient world drops under the sun, and nobody blinks. But somewhere, a line gets carved into stone. And for the first time in history, even the ox gets to lie down.